This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program News Analysis, now we bring you a discussion on alternative fuel to check air pollution. The participants are Dr. Shrikant K. Panigrahi, environmentalist, and Vinay Kumar, journalist.
Union Road Transport and Highways Minister Mr. Nitin Gadkari flagged a very important issue while he was addressing the annual convention of automakers yesterday. He said that the growth of diesel and petrol-driven cars should be slowed down. Every year, all major cities face air pollution, smog, and very heavy air due to which breathing problems occur. On the other side, we are also moving towards exploring alternative fuels, new and advanced fuels, so as to replace petrol and diesel, such conventional fossil fuels. Dr. Panigrahi, if we see Mr. Gadkari may have flagged this issue only yesterday, but it has been on the cards for a while. And India has also declared its intention that by 2030 we should have only electric cars. But air pollution is a very serious issue. How do we cope with it?
India is really concerned, and air pollution has impacted our health to a very greater extent, and many of us are ill. There is a great cost to economy. Number of man days, efficiency of average Indian has diminished, and it has become really a matter of concern. In addition to production of greenhouse gases and other toxic gases from all corners, there is no doubt the entire planet, including India, is reeling on this great issue. So also the whole world is concerned for its solution. And like if you see the national capital region, particularly Delhi and all around, we have a constant problem of air pollution. Government has installed a number of pollution monitoring stations and pollution monitoring index system, but that is a system which informs the level of the pollution but doesn't reduce the pollution as such. Among these pollutions, the most concerning pollutant is SPM, suspended particulate matter, which is basically dust, but dust doesn't look to be that harmful, but there are very, very small micro dust particles, less than 10 micron and even further less 2.5 micron. They causes a great harm, like diseases of airborne diseases, asthma, and various vector-borne diseases and whatnot. And carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide are causing huge harm. Carbon monoxide gets mixed with some traffic police or anybody who will stand longer where the vehicles are moving. It reacts with the blood, that hemoglobin, and forms carboxyhemoglobin, which is nothing but a poison, and more than 8 hours exposure of carbon monoxide even can cause death.
How much of this is only due to vehicular pollution?
The air pollution sources are three. One is through industry, and they are emitted through a chimney from a particular point. So they are called point sources. And vehicles move along the road, so they are called line sources. And another is while cooking, if cow dung or this fuel wood is burnt, then carbon emissions also come out from local chulhas and all that in slums areas where they don't use LPG or electricity or any other fuels. So that is called area sources, area-wise. So far as national capital region is concerned, polluted industries are all removed by law. So the only source of pollution is line source, that is vehicles in NCR. So far as country is concerned, industrial pollutions are not that damaging because their stack heights are very high, and in a very upper height they throw their pollutants, and that mix up with a higher level, and except winter or foggy weather, they don't settle down in the ground. When dispersion doesn't take place and it settles down in the ground, it creates a lot of problem to human beings. Otherwise, it disperses and goes up, and their concentration causes less harm. But vehicular pollution is very predominant. It could be at the range of 65 to 70%. Source of air pollution, which has a direct adverse impact on the human health. In addition to human health, global warming is another concern which is affecting all of us directly and indirectly in many ways, and whole planet is worried for it. and the gases like carbon dioxide, methane and nitrous oxide, they are also emitted from various sources.
Mr. Gadkari also said that if this kind of growth continues in number of vehicles, then the government will need to add one more lane to national highways, which will cost a whopping rupees 80,000 crores. But the question is, if petrol and diesel cars continue for another 10-15 years, and we have seen some electric cars being manufactured in India also, what are the alternatives available to the automobile industry, to the industry as such, and what are the alternative fuels? That is a big question. Electric cars are not affordable right now, and even the US car maker Tesla, where Prime Minister Modi had visited and showed a keen interest, they have also explored the possibility of setting up their plant in India, and Tesla chief has said that, it will take a while for them to have the proper infrastructure and local sourcing unit to set up a Tesla unit, electric car unit in India. But do you think, are we moving in right direction? And as Mr. Gadkari said, if we look at the figures, 2016-17, 3.05 million cars were sold and 17.59 million two-wheelers were sold. And similarly, every day across the country, nearly 50-60,000 commercial vehicles are also registered. So the growth is going on, but the need is also for a clear-cut policy. These are the broader issues. But if we talk about alternative fuels, common man knows electric cars or CNG cars or LPG cars.
Yes,
also.
I'm giving you the background, sir. If you see, it has become a really matter of concern. If you see the number of cars are growing or increasing in geometrically. And because India is going through a economic transformation, our income level is increasing, and India has got the highest growth rate among developing nations, and we have a very aspirational society, and everybody aspires. I met one of the environmentalists from Sweden. He's a good friend since long, and he was visiting India for 7th time. And he told, when during independence I came to India, I saw the greatest aspirations of the people were to ride a bicycle. When after 10 years I saw the average aspiration of India is to ride a motorcycle or a bike or a scooter. And when these days I come, nobody aspires to buy, everybody is having a bike and everybody aspires to have a car. So but we need to also balance it, considering our societal and environmental and ecological concern. If you see Singapore, it's a small island state, and one of my friend who heads the pollution control board himself there in Singapore city, Dr. Lee, he told me that he has to wait 7.5 years in the queue to get a permit to buy a car. The queue is such a long list. And the day and time when you aspire for a four-wheeler, you need to go to the government and register that I want to exercise my right to own a car. Then government has a policy how much car can take the load and balance the environment, and the load of the pollution from the vehicles in a small island state like Singapore may be 1,500 to 2,000 per month. So, and that is the limit, and no car above that is permitted. So when somebody's number will come in the queue, he has to wait till then. That is the procedure. But unfortunately in India, we don't have any restrictions, and maybe we are going for that. This is the high time we need to have a restriction in vehicular ownership. And as you told, very pretending issue that the fossil fuels are limited in nature. In the planet, we have hardly 35 to 40 years stock of fossil fuels, petrol and diesel. And this is, some people also argue to be it is of 25 years. There is two school of thoughts. So it is evident that 25 to 35 is the maximum number of years fossil fuel will last, and if we keep consuming fossil fuel, our future is dark, and we need to switch over entirely into renewable energy sources so far as fuel switching is concerned and alternative fuels are concerned for the protection of humanity, and it is the need and call of the day. So keeping all this in mind, the vehicular ownership policy is emerging throughout the world, say it US, Japan, Germany, any part of Europe or even underdeveloped countries in Africa and other continent, the people are eyeing more for adopting clean and greener fuels and adopting alternative fuels. Alternative fuels are basically biofuels. It could be biopetrol or ethanol. It could be biodiesel, maybe either from Jatropha, Pongamia. There are various tree-based oils, which is non-edible oils but can be used in the vehicles, maybe with a proper blending with petrol or diesel, or they can be used even 100% without affecting the engine efficiency and other kind of mechanical parameters. Those has been tested in the laboratory. These days, the solar cars have already come, you may be aware. And there are various, from fuel cell, hydrogen cars. These are earlier at the stage of research, but the commercializing of this kind of alternative fuels also have started taking place in Japan in particular, and some portion of US and few European cities. And even in Australia, some sort of experimentations are done. But coming to electrical cars, which is the major talk of the day, the electrical car is a very important alternative, because if it is charged by electricity as a fuel, the vehicle doesn't emit emissions. It largely runs by batteries. And batteries are inbuilt, very condensed, high capable batteries, a different type of batteries, because solar energy, you don't get solar energy during evening hours. You don't get wind energy when there is no wind. So renewable there has become a greater need to save this energy when they are not available and use them. So for which the battery technologies has undergone research, and so also the electrical vehicles. I am coming to the electrical vehicles. We are working on electrical vehicles in a big way, so far as policy and research is concerned. And Sweden is the number one country in the world. They have 10% vehicles having electricity as the fuel. But the difference between Sweden and us, Sweden's 10% electricity comes from renewable sources. They are either hydro or solar or wind or biomass gasifications, tidal, so thermal from the soil or the earth. So all those are of renewable energy. They don't have any sources of fossil fuels. But in India's energy mix, we are still having larger amount of energy comes from coal as well as oil. Coal and oil accounts about 70%, nearly 70% of our energy mix today. Renewable is hardly 12.5-13% of our...
We also have a great potential in hydro.
We have a great potential. We are having also considerable amount of hydroelectricity production. Few states, entire Northeast and Himachal and Uttarakhand and many hilly states having great potentials. We are exploring them, and we need to capitalize them to maximize our green energy production in hydro as well as renewable sector, for which we are committed in our Paris Agreement that by 2030 at least 40% of our energy mix should come from non-fossil fuel sources, including nuclear. So if it is a non-fossil fuel sources, then by running electrical cars, we will achieve something good for the humanity. But when it is the source is thermal, the electricity source is thermal, then although the vehicles are not emitting emissions, at the source where electricity is generated, again carbon dioxide is emitted to the atmosphere, which will cause global warming. So the entire world is questioning India. India can go for 10% electric vehicles by 2030 as per its ambition. But before that, India has to assure to the entire world that in its energy mix, it is becoming 10% renewable and there is no thermal in it. Coming into the practical aspects and reliability of adopting electrical vehicles.
Thank you, Dr. Panigrahi, for this discussion.
You were listening to a discussion on alternative fuel to check air pollution. The participants were Dr. Shrikant K. Panigrahi, environmentalist, and Vinay Kumar, journalist. The program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website newsonair.nic.in. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.